Hello, my beautiful reader friends. It's Tiffany with an IE, as you can see. Welcome back to my channel. Today I'll be doing the end of year book tag. Well, the end of the year book tag, sorry. I said the name wrong. Anyways, I'll just get right into it. The first question is, are there any books you started this year that you need to finish? So many, like, oh my gosh. But for the sake of having this video not be a million hours long, I've only picked 4 books. So first one is Just Mercy by Bryan Stevenson. This is a nonfiction book, and Bryan Stevenson is actually a lawyer, and he's the one who started the Equal Justice Initiative, which is a nonprofit that helps out people on death row, and and he's also a Christian. But yeah, this book, I mean, I'm still at the very beginning, but I borrowed this from a friend, and it's taking me a while to read because the content is it's very difficult in terms of, like, it talks about racism and microaggression, systemic oppression, all the things. So yeah, a lot of times when I'll pick up this book and I'll read like a little bit, and then it'll make me angry because, yeah, I mean, you can guess why. But yeah, that's why I still haven't finished it, and I really need to finish it. So yeah, I'm making a goal to finish this before the end of the year so I can give my friend back her book. And yeah, the next book is this one, Unbroken, which is an anthology that it's 13 stories starring disabled teens. And so each author also has some sort of physical or intellectual disability. And yeah, so this is basically an Own Voices anthology about disability. Where am I even? It's been a while since I've looked at this, but I mean, I'm a decent way through, almost like halfway through, so I really should finish this because they're short stories, and yeah, and also this is a gift for a friend, so I need to finish this too. Hold me accountable. The next book is Catalyst by Lydia Kong. This is the sequel to Control, which I featured in another video, and I absolutely loved Control when I read it a few years ago. But yeah, it's basically a medical thriller, and it's so interesting. But this is the sequel, and I think it's only 2 books in this series. But basically, this picks up where Control ended, so can't really describe this one without giving spoilers of the first book. But yeah, there's a ton of stuff going down, and I'm still at the very beginning, but I really like it so far, and it just reminds me of how much I love Lydia's writing. And also, she is a doctor in real life, so she does both writing and doctor duties. So it's really cool. Yeah, so I can't wait to finish this book because I remember when I got it, I wanted to read it right away, and then I got distracted by other things because I have such a chaotic mindset and I'm a chaotic reader, so that's what happens. Yeah, and the 4th book, it's near the bottom of this pile. It is Restore Me by Tahara Mafi. This is book number 4 of the Shatter Me series. Now, Shatter Me was originally a trilogy, but it got extended into a 6-book series, so this is the first one in that new 3 books that got added on. And it's interesting because it's actually like, instead of the first 3 books where you're only in the main character Juliet's head, this book, it switches between Juliet and Warner's perspectives. So you kind of get to see outside of Juliet's head because, yeah, it can be a dark place, just like in Juliet's mind. But so Warner's here to give some perspective. I featured this in another video, But yeah, I like it so far. I mean, like, her writing is like really readable and interesting and pretty quick to get through. But since I'm reading a ton of books, that's why I'm not done with this yet. But I will finish it by the end of the year. I have the next 2 books in the series as well, so that I can plow through them. Anyways, yeah, so that way I can finish the series. And then I need to read the other 3 books in the Miss Peregrine's series because they're married. Talia Mafi and Ransom Riggs, and they have a beautiful baby daughter. But yeah, I love that series as well, and I need to finish, like, I haven't read any of like the new 3 books in his series because that was also a trilogy, and then it got extended into a 6-book series, so I need to read the 3 new books in the series. And the 6th one is coming out in February. Yeah, February next year, so I need to catch up. Anyways, the next question is, do you have an autumnal book to transition into the end of the year? Now, it's November, so it's almost the end of the year, but no matter. For this, I picked Felix Ever After by Case and Callender. I've actually never read any books by Case and Callender, but this will be my first one. But I've heard so many good things about this one especially. And this is my friend's copy that he lent me, and it has very beautiful ombre sprayed edges that he paid a friend to do. But yeah, I mean, this just screams autumn, so I cannot wait to read this. It sounds so good, also sounds very devastating, so I will probably be a mess after I read this, but you know, I'm here for it. The next question is there a new release you're still waiting for? Yeah, so there's actually 2 books that I'm still waiting for. These Violent Delights by Chloe Gong. This one is, oh my gosh, it sounds so cool. It's basically like, as the title, you might recognize the title, These Violent Delights Have Violent Ends, is a quote from Romeo and Juliet by Shakespeare, obviously. So this is pitched as Romeo and Juliet meets the Godfather in 1920s Shanghai, and I'm just like, that sounds like everything I would ever want in life. So I cannot wait to read this, and it comes out on Tuesday. Today's Friday as I'm filming this, so it's coming out soon, and I've already pre-ordered my copy. And Mysterious Galaxy has a virtual event with Chloe on Friday next week. Yeah, Friday. So I'm super excited. And the other book is book like 3.5 of the Folk of the Air series by Holly Black. The first book is The Cruel Prince. So this book is How the King of Elfhame Learned to Hate Stories. And this is told from Cardan's perspective, and it's set a little bit after The Queen of Nothing, which is the 3rd and final book in the series. Yeah, and so we see some of the post, like what happens next after Queen of Nothing from Cardan's perspective. But then we also see bits of his like childhood and basically how he learned to hate stories, as the title implies. Yeah, so I'm all here for it. I still need to finish The Wicked King, and yeah, there's so many things, but I absolutely loved The Cruel Prince, and it was like my first like book by Holly Black that was a fairy book, because I mean, like, I read the first 2 books of the Spiderwick Chronicles, which she co-wrote with Tony which she co-wrote with a dude, and yeah, and I like those, but those were like middle grade, and it's not like the fairy stuff that she's known for. Granted, like the Spiderwick Chronicles was pretty popular and they made a movie out of it, and I never saw the movie because I wanted to read the book first, and I was like, I have no idea what that's about. So yeah, anyways, I'm getting off topic. Yeah, so Holly Black is known in the YA community as the Fairy Queen, so I wanted to read like an essential, like iconic fairy story by her. So I chose The Cruel Prince because when it came out, like everyone on Goodreads was raving about it, and it was like all that I saw on my feed. So I was like, I need to read this book because the hype is real. And then I read it and I was like, the hype is real. It is amazing, like hands down. Oh my gosh, like you guys, if you haven't read any of Holly Black's books, like you need to read them, especially The Cruel Prince. Yeah, okay. Next question. What are 3 books you want to read before the end of the year? Well, I've named some of them already, but here's some other ones. So here's The Bonewitch by Rinchu Peko. This one's pretty cool. It has to do with like necromancy and stuff. And as I've mentioned before, like I love Rinchu Peko. I've read The Girl from the Well and The Suffering by her, and I absolutely love those, even though I'm not like a big horror fan, but yeah. And then she wrote a short story in the Hungry Hearts anthology, which was in second person, and it was cool. But yeah, I like that too. Like that whole anthology is great. Like food is wonderful. Anyways, yeah. And then I also want to read Call Down the Hawk by Maggie Stiefvater. This is the Owlcrate edition. As you can see, it's blue. The regular edition looks like this. It's orange. But basically, like, I had to finish the Raven Cycle before I could read this, because this is kind of a spin-off from one of the characters from the Raven Cycle. So, I mean, you don't necessarily have to read the Raven Cycle, but it makes more sense because there's some things that happen in a Raven Cycle, and then this is like continuing afterward, but it's only following Ronan and his new friends. But I heard that some of the Gangsy still show up. Anyways, I need to read this because the sequel just got announced with a title and a cover. It's called Mr. Impossible, and it's coming out next year, and I'm so excited, and this is going to be a trilogy, so I need to read this. Yeah. And then the third book is, well, I got this Ultimate Hitchhiker's Guide, so this actually has all 5 novels, but I want to at least read the first one. Because I mean, it's so iconic. I know like a bunch of the references, like Don't Panic, Answers like 42, and like, you know, other things, but this is kind of thick. But I do want to actually read this because I've heard so many great things about the series, especially the first book. So yeah, I'm gonna hopefully read this before the end of the year. And is there a book you think could still shock you and become your favorite book of the year? Now for this, in my mid-year book freakout tag that I posted like last month or something, I mentioned that my favorite book of the year, even though it was really difficult to pick, was The Starless Sea by Erin Morgenstern. I absolutely adore that book. And I mean, like, there's so many things that could top it. Specifically, Sky Hunter by Marie Lu, because, I mean, this book is super gorgeous. Like, look at these blue end pages and this cover underneath the dust jacket. Like, they went all out with this book. But yeah, I mean, I've already started reading this, and it is actually like the book club pick for Mysterious Galaxy this month for their YA book club. And like, I read the prologue and chapter 1. At the end of chapter 1, something crazy happens, and I was like, Marie, my homegirl, she does not hold back her punches. Yeah, so, and every one of her books that I've read so far, because I haven't read all of them yet, but I will fix that. But all the ones that I've read so far, like, I've always like been shook by, and I like usually cry. So she always does something. So I'm pretty sure this will shock me, and I'll just be like in a pool of my own tears, but then I'll be like telling everyone to read this. So yeah. And then the last question is, have you already started making reading plans for 2021? Absolutely, positively. If you don't get that, that's a reference to Danny Phantom. So one of my favorite shows from back then. But yeah, I mean, I just have a ton of books that I need to read. Like, I have books piled everywhere and stuff. But I definitely want to finish the books that I'm borrowing from my friends first and return them to them. And also finish books that I have planned as gifts for people. So those are first priorities, as well as library books, because I have a few of them here. And what else? Oh, I have some like reading challenges that I started like a few years ago that I still need to finish reading all the books on there for. And yeah, and then of course book club books and buddy reads. I mean, there are so many things that I need to read. It's not even funny. Like, just if you go look at my Goodreads profile, I just have too many books on my TBR. But yeah, so that is it for this video. I'll link down in the description box below all the books that I've mentioned here, so you can just click on them if you want to add them to your TBR or whatever. Let me know if you've read any of these books, and we'll chat in the comments down below. So until next time, bye!